Hey humans, welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn, and I'm going to read to you. Reading Frankenstein, chapter 23, part 2. Gonna hit it hard, like a hammer on a nail. Hit it hard. Hard. Even though I'm really sleepy. Just kidding. Or am I so tired right now? As I still pursued my journey to the northward, the snows thickened and the cold increased in a degree almost too severe to support. The peasants were shut up in their hovel, and only a few of the most hardy ventured forth to seize the animals, which starvation had forced from their hiding places to seek for prey. The rivers were covered with ice, and no fish could be procured, and thus I was cut off from the chief article of maintenance. The triumph of my enemy increased with the difficulty of my labors. One inscription that he left was in these words, quote, "Prepare, your toil only begins. Wrap yourself in furs and provide food, for we shall soon enter upon a journey where your suffering will satisfy my everlasting hatred." End quote. He should really write haikus. He's got these long ass things. I think a haiku would actually be really cool. Leaving like, please be cautious, dude. Stay alive so we can fight because I hate you. That works. Something about vowing vengeance and maintenance and whatnot. My courage and perseverance were invigorated by these scoffing words. I resolved not to fail in my purpose, and calling on heaven to support me, I continued with unabated fervor to I continue with unabated fervor to traverse immense deserts until the ocean appeared at a distance and formed the utmost boundary of the horizon. Oh, how unlike it was to the blue seas of the south. Covered with ice, it was only to be distinguished from land by its superior wildness and ruggedness. The Greeks wept for joy when they beheld the Mediterranean from the hills of Asia, and hailed with rapture the boundary of their toils. I did not weep, but I knelt down, and with a full heart, thanked my guiding spirits for conducting me in safety to the place where I hoped, notwithstanding my adversary's gibe, to meet and grapple with him. Why are you thanking your spirits? Okay, look, you can have faith, right? But then you can also be ignorant. You as a scientist are freaking out about spirits when you have facts in front of you that your own creature is guiding you and letting you follow him. He's the one that's been leaving you food and stuff. It is not your guiding spirits. Sure, I'm going to be straight. I believe in ghosts and spirits, but I also believe in being real, dude. Stop making stuff up. You just in it for the story. You are dramatic. Dramatic. Some weeks before this period, I had procured a sledge and dogs, and thus traversed the snows with inconceivable speed. I know not whether the fiend possessed the same advantages, but I found that, as before, I had daily lost ground in the pursuit. I now gained on him, so much so that when I first saw the ocean, he was but one day's journey in advance, and I hoped to intercept him before he should reach the beach. With new courage, therefore, I pressed on, and in 2 days arrived at the wretched hamlet on the seashore. I inquired of the inhabitants concerning the fiend, and gained accurate information. A gigantic monster, they said, had arrived the night before, armed with a gun and many pistols, putting to flight the inhabitants of a solitary cottage. Through fear of his terrible appearance, he carried off their store of winter food, and placing it in a sledge, to draw which he had seized on a numerous drove of trained dogs. He had harnessed them, and the same night, to the joy of the horror-struck villagers, had pursued his journey across the sea in the direction that led to no land, and they conjectured that he must speedily be destroyed by the breaking ice or frozen by the eternal frosts. On hearing this information, I suffered a temporary access of despair. He had escaped me, and I must commence a destructive and almost endless journey across the mountainous ices of the ocean, amid cold that few of the inhabitants could long endure, and which I, the native of a genial and sunny climate, could not hope to survive. Yet at the idea that the fiend should live and be triumphant, my rage and my vengeance and turmoil has returned. Yeah. My rage and vengeance has returned. Yeah. And like a mighty tide, yeah, overwhelmed with feelings, yeah. After a slight repose, during which the spirits of the dead hovered around and instigated me to toil and revenge, I prepared for my journey. I exchanged my land sledge for one fashioned for the inequalities of the frozen ocean, and purchasing a plentiful stock of provisions, I departed for the land. I cannot guess how many days have passed since then, but I have endured misery which nothing but the eternal sentiment of a just retribution burning with my heart could have enabled me to support. Geared. Immense and rugged mountains of the ice often barred up my passage, and I often heard the thunder of the ground sea, which threatened my destruction. But again the frost came and made the paths of the sea secure. By the quantity of provision which I consumed, I should guess that I have passed 3 weeks in this journey, and the continual protraction of hope returning back upon the heart often wrung bitter drops of despondency and grief from my eyes. Despair had indeed almost secured her prey, and I should soon have sunk beneath this misery, when once after the poor animals that carried me had with incredible toil gained the summit of a sloping ice mountain, and one sinking under his fatigue died. I viewed the expanse before me with anguish, and suddenly my eyes caught a dark speck upon the dusky plain. I strained my sight to discover what it could be, and I uttered a wild cry of ecstasy when I distinguished a sledge and the distorted proportions of a well-known form within. Oh, with what a burning gush did hope revisit my heart. Warm tears filled my eyes, which I hastily wiped away, but they might not intercept the view I had of the demon. but still my sight was dimmed by the burning drops until, given way to the emotions that oppressed me, I wept aloud. Wept! But this was not the time for delay. I disencumbered the dogs of their dead companion, gave them a plentiful portion of food, and after an hour of rest, which was absolutely necessary and yet which was bitterly irksome to me, I continued my route. The sledge was still visible, nor did I again lose sight of it, except at the moments when for a short time ice rock concealed it with the intervening crags. I indeed perceptibly gained on it, and when after nearly 2 days' journey I beheld my enemy at no more than a mile distance, my heart bounded within me. But now, when I appeared almost within grasp of my enemy, my hopes were suddenly extinguished, and I lost all traces of him more utterly than I had ever done before. A ground sea was heard, the thunder of its progress as the waters rolled and swelled beneath me, every moment more ominous and terrific. I pressed on, but in vain. The wind arose, the sea roared, and as with the mighty shock of an earthquake, it split and cracked, and with a tremendous and overwhelming sound. The work was soon finished. In a few minutes the tumultuous sea rolled between me and my enemy, and I was left drifting on a scattered piece of ice that was continually lessening and thus preparing me for a hideous death. In this manner many appalling hours passed, several of my dogs died, and I myself was about to sink under the accumulation of distress when I saw your vessel riding an anchor, and holding forth to me hopes of secure and life. I had no conception that vessels ever came so far north, and was astounded at the sight. I quickly destroyed part of my sledge to construct oars, and by these means were enabled with infinite fatigue to move my ice raft to the direction of your ship. I had determined, if you were going southward still, to trust myself to the mercy of the seas rather than abandon my purpose. I hoped to induce you to grant me a boat with which I could still pursue my enemy, but your direction was northward. You took me on board when my vigor was exhausted, and I should soon have sunk under my multiplied hardships into a death which I still dread, for my task is still unfulfilled. Oh, when will my guiding spirit, in conducting me to the demon, allow me to rest I so much desire, or must I die and he yet live? If I do, swear to me, Walton, that he shall not escape, and that you will seek him and satisfy my vengeance in his death. Yet I do dare ask you to undertake my pilgrimage to endure the hardships that I have undergone. No, I am not so selfish. Yet when I am dead, if he should appear, if the ministers of vengeance should conduct him to you, swear that he shall not live. Swear that he shall not triumph over my accumulated woes and live to make another such a wretch as I am. He is eloquent and persuasive, and once his words had ever power over my heart. But trust him not. His soul is as hellish as his form, full of treachery and fiend-like malice. Hear him not. Call on the names of William, Justine, Clairvaux, Elizabeth, my father, and of the wretched Victor, and thrust your sword into his heart. I will hover near, and direct the steel aright. Wow. Chapter 23. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Stretch time. Oh, getting that stretch on. feel free to join me if you want to stretch. Just, putting your arms up. Whatever, I don't care. If you want me to keep reading, please check out some more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Check out that button, subscribe button. I forget the names of them sometimes. Give me a comment on the comments section down below if you like this video. Let me know what you thought about any of the chapter. We can talk about it, discuss it. I'm not really new with... I'm new to discussing things. Like YouTube comments. I've never really been a commenter or a YouTuber, to be honest. But here I am, trying to make it in a world where it's hard to make it. And then again, it's also not hard to make it. Anyway, I'll see you later. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. We're gonna have so much fun.